Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
California politics mean nothing in Mexico, and Mexico politics mean nothing in California prisons. Then there's Daryl Castrejon. Daryl Castrejon was rumored to be killed, I believe, in Jalisco and hanged off a bridge. This is a picture of Daryl Castrejon, Mexican Mafia member from Ontario, responsible for exterminating or arranging the elimination of Frankie Buelna, Mexican Mafia member from Primero Flats. But this is as yet unconfirmed. It's been reported on Borderland Beat and all the other social media platforms, but law enforcement in Mexico have not confirmed it. If that's the case, one of the things that was lacking was DNA confirmation, and the picture that they showed that identified him as the body that was recovered from the bridge, it was that was hanged and shot multiple times, did not even look like Daryl Castrejon. So it may be another humbug because Daryl Castrejon was rumored to have been eliminated 3 times already. So, but if this is the case, it's another example of the cartels eliminating a made Mexican Mafia member with no Mexican Mafia retaliation. Then, let's face it, right? All gangs have some cartel connection. It's everybody knows somebody in the hood that's hooked up with a Mexican distributor. In fact, here's a call from Popeye's crew. This is a guy named Tigre who was a part of Operation Roman Empire. Let's listen to this call now. What he discusses is cheese, but we're all going to get the meaning of that right now.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, Babo?
Who's this?
This is Tigre, Chiquito. What's going on?
Who?
Tigre.
Oh, what's up, T?
Hey, I'm out here in Michoacan, right? And I'm looking at the that cheese that we were talking about the other day, and they're gonna give it to us for 17 over there. They're gonna give us the same price that's running for here over there.
17.
So, yeah.
Oh,
Ya, el kilo de queso así grandote, de ese
los que
Michoacán.
vuelan.
Sí,
Panadito.
sí, de ese, así es. Pero así no lo van a dar en kilo, ¿verdad? Porque acá nomás venden kilos, no venden libras, ¿verdad? Y es de ese queso hasta está bien brilloso, ¿entiendes?
Oh, ok.
Train tracks.
¿Estás hablando de la...
El cruce. Sí, I can't say much here. Sí, sí, pero pues, es en kilo, ¿entiendes?
Ajá.
So we're gonna get it like that. Y estoy viendo las otras cosas que querían también, So I'm not in Michoacán right now. I'm in Apaxingán. I had to drive like an hour away to make the phone call, because I can't call from the same town. So ¿cómo está todo?
Man, allá estamos having problems con los del mall.
Oh, sí, ¿qué pasó?
So that call specifically is from a crew guy that works for now deceased Papa Roman, right? And they're talking about kilos of product for 17K. It's really not well coded, right? Because as soon as they say the cheese, right? Kilos of cheese, right? That's kind of like DeLorean saying the monkeys, right? When he's talking about kilos of Coke, he was talking about monkeys. You could see right through it. And even though it's in Spanish, you know exactly what they're talking about. It's talking about product, right? So even gangs today have ballers within them dealing with cartels, and that's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Those relationships are a little different than those with the carnales, right? Because the carnales are ultimate responsibility to the cartels. When something goes wrong, they hold them responsible, and boom, you've seen by multiple examples what the cartels do to carnales that offend them, right? And most of these guys dealing in the hood are straight businessmen. I mean, they're young street entrepreneurs, and they're dealing with them, and they're trying to keep their business away from the Mexican mafia. So they're a little different. Those street gang relationships vary unless carnales are involved, like Popeye Roman. And he was involved in this level of business with individuals who dealt with the cartels. So it's always going to exist. That coexistence is always going to be there. Uh, Street gang territories are necessary for distribution of the cartels. The cartels realize that it's a symbiotic relationship, and it provides them with market exclusivity. Right? Say a specific cartel is distributing to a general geographic location controlled by gangs. That's mutually beneficial for them. Right? They understand it. It's just typical business. It's smart business, and it affords them a couple different benefits. Right? And then there's Richard Chuco Santiago. This is the individual who eliminated uh, uh, Manuel Torres Tati at ADX in Florence. He's serving a life sentence. He's from Hayward, California. He's at ADX in Florence, Colorado. Um, he communicates with Adriana Paris, and he's reported to have collected multiple payments of thousands of dollars from Gulf Cartel founder and national leader Juan Abrejo. That's the limited scope of Richard Santiago. I'm not questioning his intellect, but he's taxing this guy. This guy is paying him for protection, right? So the cartels come to the prison system, typically the BOP, and they're in environments controlled entirely by the Mexican Mafia. I mean, there are other organizations there as well. I mean, there's a variety. There's the DC Boys, there's Mexicles, there's a bunch of other organizations in that environment, but the cartels understand that some of the most violent guys are Mexican Mafia, and they do pay them, right? So it's kind of like a role reversal. In Mexico, uh, uh, they're dominating business, right? And they're dominating policy. They're dictating policy to the organization. How it goes, how you do business with us. This is how it's going to be, right? And the Mexican Mafia adheres to that. But in prison, there's a bit of a role reversal. Then there's Luis Cisneros, life sentence. He's from Pomona. He's at ADX Florence. He communicates with Daniel Montes. So there are ties, and there's developing relationships between the cartels that are incarcerated. Some of these guys are businessmen. They know how to treat other businessmen, but some of them are just greedy, trying to get 10,000, 5,000, whatever they can get, because that's the short-sightedness of their ability to do long-term business and foster a real symbiotic relationship that's mutually beneficial to both organizations. Some of these guys lack that. And there's no doubt about that. These guys lack the ability they lack the foresight. They can't see 10 years in advance. Like, if I treat this guy right and I make sure nothing happens to him and I show him my loyalty, this guy is involved in a multi-billion-dollar business, and I'd like to do business with him. I just want to show him that I'm meritorious of his business, that he can trust me, and that I have business savvy, and that I want to advance my own organization through a relationship with him. Now, I'd approach that way. I'd approach these major distributors, these cartel guys, with that in mind. Like, look, we have an organization here that dominates Southwest United States, and we think that with your assistance, we can corner the market. If you'd be willing to work with us, allow us the opportunity to show you what we can do, and that's how I would approach that, right? I wouldn't approach it with my hand out like these guys, taking a couple $1,000s here, or 10 or 20 keys, and then thinking they scored and never paying anybody back, because that's what they do. The Mexican Mafia burns everybody. I mean, I showed you that with Perico, right? He's taking money for eliminations and not paying and not doing the work, right? And just making excuses. Cardenales do that all the time. In fact, one of the videos I just showed you with Fast Fred Montoya would accept product and never pay. And it was with the Michoacan cartel. He would never pay. It just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth because the majority of these guys are substance abusers and they have issues, right? Um, so the cartels see that, and hence the repercussions in Mexico. The repercussions in Mexico are severe. I've showed you that already. In fact, there are multiple cartel guys in the BOP. In fact, you're seeing Gato Martinez, Toro from Cuca, and Ben uh, uh, Adriano Felix here, incarcerated with multiple cardenales, taking pictures with cardenales. And then there's Badger from Hawaiian Gardens uh, with Benjamin Adriano Felix. They are incarcerated with them. In fact, here is a picture of Juan Garcia Abrego from the Gulf Cartel with Frank Chino Madriaga and Alfredo Beltran Leyva. These are cartel guys right here. Huge cartel, like these are huge cartel guys, like kingpins. These are the kingpins, right? These are the real guys that were moving tons of stuff with Mexican Mafia members in the BOP. And some of these cardenales know how to treat them, right? They know that these are bosses, right? These are real gangsters from a real gangster world. Um, but most of the guys in Mexico go over there with the prison mentality, que soy carnal, y yo soy el mero mero, and look what happens to them, right? Look what happens to them. These guys don't tolerate that over there. But they're building relationships. Some of these cardenales in the BOP are building long-standing relationships with these guys. Uh, from the late 1980s until his arrest in 1996, the name of the legendary drug kingpin Juan Garcia Abrego instilled fear as the first foreigner on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and fugitives lists. Garcia Abrego attracted international attention for his drug crimes and was branded by authorities as a source of violence in northern Mexico and South Texas. However, little is known of his early life when he was a car thief trying to make a name for himself in Brownsville, Texas in the 1970s. This was reported by the Borderline Beat. They broke that story. And in here, Alfredo Beltran Leyva, born January 21st, 1971, commonly referred to by his alias El Mochomo. I don't like that name. I would have rejected that name. The Desert End is a Mexican convicted drug lord and former leader of the Beltran Leyva cartel. Beltran Leyva was responsible for smuggling multi-ton shipments of cocaine and methamphetamine to the United States from Mexico and South America between the 1990s and 2000. He worked alongside his brothers Hector, Carlos, and Arturo. In January 2008, Beltran was arrested by the Mexican Army in Culiacan, Sinaloa, and was imprisoned by Federal Social Readaptation Center Number 1, Mexico's maximum security prison. He was extradited to the United States in November 2014 for drug trafficking charges. In April 2017, he was sentenced to life in prison in order to forfeit in U.S. currency $529 million to the U.S. government. Doug, look at the size of that fine. $529 million, and he could pay it. He could pay it. That's the thing, is these guys are multi-million. These guys run a multi-billion-dollar operation. And here they are with cardenales. So they're fostering these relationships, right? They haven't got it to the level where Popeye had it, right? They don't have it like that. And that's evidenced by the recent eliminations of cardenales, right, in Mexico. But these guys dealing with the cartels in Mexico are controlling little plazas. They're controlling little plazas. It gets to their head. They do something that offends cartel guys, and boom, what happens? You saw what happens, right? So in this cartel versus Mexican Mafia, who is inflicting what to who? I mean, if it was considered a conflict, there are multiple conflicts that have been shown already, who is dominating that? Mexican Mafia has not eliminated one of them. Not of their own decision or their own discretion. If they've eliminated somebody, it's at the direction of the cartels. but the cartels had no hesitancy in eliminating them. In fact, Toro Hernandez is really close with the individual who I depicted earlier. In fact, his wife, they stay together when they go visit. They stay in the same Airbnb. They stay at that cartel member's wife's home. And Toro is a real businessman. He has the ability to bring forward a progressive business thinking. He's proven it. He's done it. He is a businessman. Above all things, Toro is a businessman. And he sees the benefit of this relationship. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised that it was already cultivating that relationship and utilizing it in the territories that he controls. So this is a real deal thing going on, right? Some cardenales have the ability to do it, but the majority of cardenales can't think beyond their own pocket or their own needle in their arm, right? That's all they think about. And that's their downfall. They're greedy, they're egocentric, and they have no business skills. Toro, on the other hand, has business acumen. He's proven it time and time again that he can generate large sums of money. He can handle large-scale business. He's a business guy, and he's a progressive thinker. That's Toro with his wife. And this is an interview I did a while back, right? I did this with Jay Flores. He's one of the twins from Chicago. He's one of the individuals who brought down Chapo Guzman. He testified against Chapo Guzman. I'm obscuring his face for obvious reasons. Served time in prison. His wife served time in prison behind this cartel ordeal that he was involved in. But I want you to hear what he says about the organization.
Is there? Most cartel members are prosecuted by the U.S. and end up in federal prisons within the U.S. Does this imply that the Mexican Mafia will always have a low relationship with cartel members that are incarcerated?
A relationship. I do believe that one thing that Mexican drug trafficking organization or cartel members know, that once they enter that prison in the United States, they understand the difference between the American justice system and the Mexican justice system, that they will be punished here. I don't believe that a high-ranking drug cartel member comes to the United States to go to prison to continue committing crime. I don't believe that. There's no need for it. Now, would they have a relationship? I think of a relationship of extortion. High-ranking drug cartel member comes to the United States to go to prison to continue committing crime. I don't believe that. There's no need for it. Now, would they have a relationship? I think of a relationship of extortion.
Did you hear that? He thinks it's a relation. Believes it's a relationship of extortion. I mean, these guys are successful billionaires already. You know, they're rolling. We're talking serious money. And I don't think they come to prison with the objective. Because I agree with that. I don't think they come to prison with the objective of continuing distributing product to gangs. That's the bottom line of it, right? And the reality is that they're getting extorted in the prison system because it's a environment that's controlled by the Mexican Mafia. And we're going to go on to this. We're going to get to a little deeper in this. And remember, Jay Flores, Margarito Flores, was a huge. He dealt with all the guys, the top guys, right? He dealt with Chapo Guzman personally.
See that happens a lot with prison gangs and
for the full interview, this full interview, you can go to my channel. We'll provide the link right here.
Mexican drug cartel leaders who come to prison.
Forgive me, it was my first
see that
interview.
a lot.
Right?
They have no,
I should have hit him
power
with
in
a bunch of
the
different
prison
questions
system,
when I had him there. But maybe we'll have him on in the
most
future.
gangs
He's a
in the
great
prison
guy.
systems are,
And
prey on those people
and I think he's
who
got
have
a lot of wisdom in terms of how these
money
relationships
or
will pan out in
have
the
some
future.
type of resource.
And it's not something I'd like to delve into with.
Has the deportation
I'd like
of gang
to discuss
members
this
from the
topic
U.S.
with him.
into Mexico
But let's watch the rest of what he's saying
had
here.
any effect on the cartels?
I can't say. I don't have enough information to say, but I mean, as an example, I would say that the United States doesn't speak about what they export, and they export gangs. You could see that what happened in El Salvador. Salvador didn't have gangs. All those gangs are American-made. So I think that we could pick and choose, what sounds good, but it's the culture. that the American gangs, right, comes back to the Al Capone and the Italian Mafia. These organizations get exported to other countries, and countries like Mexico, but I don't know what type of impact it had on Mexico, because for the most part, in the days, I was growing up in that environment, gang members were not accepted. That started happening later on. Then, with our Rene Felix organization, but then it was because of that, it wasn't something that was accepted by other cartels into the Zetas. So I'm not sure what type of effect it's having, but it does do something for the culture, maybe for the younger kids, especially with the drug use. I know it's increasing in Mexico. So.
Did the past agreement between Bet Marquez and David Barron with the Arellano Felix organization to kill Chapo Guzman affect how the Mexican Mafia members are viewed by most major cartel members?
I believe that for the most part, it did affect the way the Sinaloa cartel and the Juarez cartel, or even what's considered the Jalisco Nueva Generación cartel. It left this imprint of basically hired guns and maybe a dislike, because they viewed them as individuals who had no type of respect or maybe just morals in a way. So I think that early on in my involvement, they were not accepted. A lot of American gang members were not accepted to be a part of the organization unless they were family members or something like that. But they did not behave in a way that those members, that were involved with the Rene Felix organization behaved, for sure. Individuals who had no type of respect or maybe just morals in a way. So I think that, early on in my involvement, they were not accepted. A lot of American gang members were not accepted to be a part of the organization unless they were family members or something like that. But they did not behave in a way that those members, that were involved with the Rene Felix organization behaved.
That's heavy duty, right? That gang members are not viewed on positively over the impact of Papa Barron and Bet Marquez, right? That they wouldn't be accepted. In fact, they call them plásticos and pochos and chicanos, cholos baratos, or nacos, right? They have all these derogatory phrases, right? That they're fake, they're falsos, and they're rejected, literally rejected by the cartels. But the cartels use them as crash test dummies, much like sureños are used by the Mexican Mafia here, where there's tens of thousands of individuals waiting to just jump up and do a pegada for the organization and wash themselves up. In fact, I think it was Clowney, I mentioned in a previous episode, who did a hit in Lancaster, and he was maybe a couple weeks away from a conjugal visit, and refused the conjugal visit to go and do a hit for the organization. He had come up somewhere. He came up somewhere and caught a 187 because he wanted to make points. He thought it was his brass ring. Like, these are crash test dummies, right? These are real crash test dummies. And there's, like I said, thousands of them willing to do anything, forego their freedom, forego conjugal visit. I mean, call me crazy, but I'm going to that conjugal visit, right? That thing can wait. That other assignment can wait, And I think that's how the cartels see carnales. Like, one of the things they critique on them on mostly is that their drug use, that they're not Mexican nationals, right? Only the Mexican nationals that are deported from the United States, they receive some level of acceptance, but they're still viewed upon as cholos or chicanos, right? And they're discriminated against. They really are. There's no way to slice it, right? They're no less Mexican than the Mexicans who were born in Mexico, but they're viewed upon that way because there is this mentality. And the carnales who see the cartel guys come over here see them the same way. They're paisas, and we run this. And Jay Flores explains it to the best of his ability, right? And I really see in this this interview that it would come to. I didn't realize it would come to play in a future episode, but I think he makes some valid points, right? He makes some valid points. Those guys are expendable. I talked to one expert. He says Sureños and carnales and gang members that are deported from the United States are expendable, and they're despised for their willingness to go to prison and do life. Because cartel guys don't want to go to prison. That's not their idea of a future. But, gang members and carnales, they're willing to do life sentences for nothing, for no money. And that doesn't make sense to carnales. It's stupid. The next guy we're going to talk about who did it really well was Nelson Flores. Nelson Flores is a Salvadorian. He's from MS-13. Mula from MS-13. We run a call on him previously on the channel. But his name is Nelson Alexander Flores. He was just sentenced to a whole whop of time by the United States Attorney's Office for distributing 100 pounds of methamphetamine and cocaine a month on behalf of international street gangs and prison gangs, right? The United States Attorney stated that he imported these drugs into San Diego from Mexico before they were sent to other communities throughout the United States. And they took him down. He was functioning there for a while. He's kind of like the main guy over there. Now it's Bala from Pomona, who's one of the main guys over there. But there's somebody else over there that a lot of people don't know about. And he's functioning well. And he's a high-level business guy. And then also there's Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester. You knew he was going to pop up here somewhere, right? Well, he's originally from Michoacan, He's originally from Michoacan. And I've run this excerpt before. This is a very short excerpt. This is Fox talking to his main secretary. Fox refers to himself in the third person as Lázaro, right? And they're going to talk about terreno in Mexico, like terrain, right? And ranchos and people jumping fences and stealing alfalfa and like getting at the cattle, right? And this is all informal gang code, right? A manner of communication in which two individuals are predisposed to understand the underlying content. Fox and the guy know what they're talking about, but we don't know what they're talking about. The average Joe doesn't know what they're talking about. I understand this to be what it is, but let's run that clip right now, and you'll see that Fox, being a Mexican national who's impending deportation in 2 years, is going back to that area, who has cartel ties. I'm not sure he'll fare well over there, but let's run the call and listen to it.
Siempre, como te digo, el Lázaro, allá por México, me dijo que, pues, sabes, la otra vez que lo miré, que ahí está al 100, ahí no está al 100, ahí con ustedes, y allá, sí. Pues, tú sabes, como me estaba diciendo que, pues, allá su familia tiene unos potreros por allá con ganado y todo, y que, pues, no dejen entrar otros ganaderos ahí a criar ganado y todo ese jale, ¿ya? No, sí, como sí, siempre. Ya
que le sacaban la pastura ahí.
Exactamente, la alfalfa y todo ese jale. Y pues sí, a ver, si no, la gente ahorita en México anda, ¿me entiendes? Brincándose cerca y pues como andan allá afuera, ¿me entiendes? Da todo lo que da. Pero lo bueno que pues, nomás decirle que ahí está, ahí está el bordonar al 100 por ahí con ustedes y todo, y no dejen entrar otros, nomás díganle, no, ¿sabes qué? Aquí pues, aquí ya está, estamos al 100 aquí tiene dueños todos estos potreros, o sea, todo, no está nomás así.
So that is pretty simple in and of itself. Fox Tapia talking about protecting his territories. Fox Tapia has cartel ties. Fox Tapia is one of the individuals who brought about a relationship between the cartels, La Familia Michoacana, and that whole Operation La Jala deal. We're going to go into a lot of detail on that in the future. But he has the bona fides. He has the established ties in the family in Michoacan. Fox will be returning to Mexico. But like I said, my prediction is Fox won't fare well. He's too outspoken. He gets too many people indicted. And cartel guys do not want that. They do not want to be involved with guys like this that have diarrhea of the mouth, is going to put their business on Front Street, and doesn't care who gets indicted, because the cartel guys do not want to come to prison for life. So Fox is also in a precarious situation with the organization, right? He may be looked at by the cartels as one of the reasons why that whole thing went sour in Operation La Jale, right? He's the one that made the initial introductions, and he may be held responsible for that. In and of itself, Fox is in hot water. Like I said, who knows what his future holds? I mean, if it was had the opportunity to talk to him, I just tell him, hey, dude, you got a chance to get out and disappear. Do that. It's best for you. And I don't think his ego can let him do that. But that's another guy that Mexican Mafia has going over to Mexico, who has the bona fides to participate in cartel activities. Whether he'll be accepted or not with the current mentality and how they're eliminating carnales is a whole nother story, right? And then there's this guy. That's Sporty Valenzuela from Nutwood. He's a Mexican Mafia member, right? And that's Edgar from Rodeo and a bunch of other guys that are well known in that nightclub world. But that's Mago. Mago was recently eliminated at an after-hours party. Mago was one of the key guys here in the United States that worked for the Sinaloa cartel. In fact, he moved millions of dollars worth of product. He was a baller. I mean, like a real baller. And this is the mentality of the organization now, right? Fostering relationships with individuals who have this kind of power, which are cartel guys, right? So there is a relationship there. In fact, Sporty from Nutwood is in Mexico now. He's a fugitive. He's wanted here in the United States, and I think that he did his best to avoid capture, and may or may not be functioning with cartels out there now. I know that he was here in the United States while he was here, specifically in California. That will about do this presentation. I hope you enjoyed everything that I put, all the information that I put out there, but it begs the question, who's running who? In Mexico, it's the cartels. In prison, it's the carnales. But what's more beneficial? And who has the real power? Who has the real power in this relationship? I think the cartels see it as like paying car insurance, right? It's a pittance, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they see these guys as little bothersome ants that can be utilized once in a while. And they do. When they come to prison, they're safe and secure. The Mexican Mafia is predatory and takes advantage of those relationships. But the cartels see it as like, yeah, these guys are just pelones, is another thing they call them. They're pelones, right? They're gang members, they're drug addicts. They're dummies because they want to come to prison and do life, right? These guys don't want to do that. But over there, they're eliminating.
This is Rene Enriquez.
And then that begs another question. Why isn't there retaliation if this organization, the Mexican Mafia, is so monolithic and so powerful?
Nickname
Why would it accept anybody?
Blackhand of the Mexican Mafia.
Question of the day, folks. Who's more powerful? Who has the juice? And who's really running the show? With that said, folks, hope